AutoVlog's truck is back at VMP, and we're going to figure out what the heck is going on with it. Hey everybody, I'm Justin with VMP Performance. Behind me is AutoVlog's 2015 5-liter F-150 with a VMP Gen3 TVS on top. As you know, he recently had some issues, so it's here at the VMP shop to figure out what's going on.
You know, I mean, I thought about turning it over, but I was like, you know what, that probably won't matter, so I hadn't turned it over. But then when you called, I did, and it works. That's very weird. Okay, now it died. Now it died. It just died on me.
Our technicians, Jesse, and our tuner as well, Mike, got the engine apart, and we were expecting to see a broken cam sprocket. This is the factory Fomoco cam sprocket, known to crack into multiple pieces, lose teeth, etc., and cause the engine to go out of time, which is the issue that Mike's engine appears to have. It is out of time based on the codes and everything and the poor running conditions. However, we didn't find that. So we're going to take apart the oil pump and see if cracked oil pump gears may have caused the tensioners on the cam chains to lose tension and then cause the engine to go out of time due to that. So it's going to be really interesting here to open this up. This is the first time it's opened. I'm going to do a little exterior inspection. That's the inner gear that engages the crankshaft. That never actually breaks itself because it doesn't. It's always the outside of the gear that breaks. I've even seen them where the case is externally cracked, but this one appears to be fine. Do not use an impact to put your oil pump housing back together. These bolts have like 90 inch-pound torque rating. Well, we've got a full-blown mystery on our hands. The oil pump gear and the crank gear are perfectly fine. We know from the check engine lights and the codes that AutoVlog originally had there was something going on with the cam timing. And of course, Coyotes have variable cam timing on all 4 cams, both intake, both exhaust. They do it through the use of a phaser that is controlled by oil but driven by cam inertia. One of the codes indicated that the bank one, which is passenger side, intake phaser was stuck in a certain position, causing the cam timing to be off. It appears that nothing catastrophic happened, so we've got the valve covers and the front cover off. We've got all the timing components off and apart. Ford delivered us some brand new phasers. We're just going to go ahead and replace all of them, along with the new actuators, the solenoids for the phasers, which are not shown here. While we're in here, this is a great opportunity to upgrade to VMP billet oil pump gears and also a VMP billet crank sprocket. This is what we were afraid had failed and could have caused catastrophic damage to the timing components and the valves in AutoVlog's engine. Luckily, this wasn't it. It appears to be something very run-of-the-mill, like a stuck phaser or a bad solenoid. So we're going to make sure we put new filters in the end of the cams. Yes, there are tiny little filters in the end of the camshafts. There was a little bit of like fuzz or fur in AutoVlog's filters, so we got brand new ones just to be safe. Make sure you replace these whenever you're doing work on the variable cam system. If these phasers come off, if you swap cams or anything, just put new ones in there. That's what Ford recommends. They say they're one-time use. Not a bad idea to prevent problems. We've seen them gummed up before. Like I said, this was not the case here, but something was causing that bank one exhaust cam to stick. So we're upgrading everything while we're in here. We're gonna get it back together, and hopefully that solves all the issues, and AutoVlog can come pick the truck up. All right, everybody, so I am back in front of AutoVlog's truck, and it's apart. A lot. You're probably wondering what happened. Well, after we got it back together, made sure it was timed properly, replaced the phasers, upgraded the oil pump gear and cam sprocket, we got it started up, and we found more problems. Unfortunately, one bank had low compression. We scoped the cylinders, and we found some issues, and we thought of something that rarely happens, but unfortunately results in semi-catastrophic type issues. And that was a destroyed catalytic converter that had failed, actually broken up, turned sideways, and lodged itself in the exhaust, blocking exhaust flow, creating extremely high cylinder pressures, damaging the cylinders on that bank of the engine, and basically putting it out of commission. So what happens is a supercharged engine has got to breathe, and when it can't anymore, the pressure, the heat builds up, it can cause detonation, and we actually saw the scoring on the cylinder walls, which indicates the piston and the rings got too hot and expanded. And of course the engine still turned over and ran, but it no longer had good compression on that bank. So unfortunately that means the engine's got to come out and be repaired. The next step is going to be assessing the damage, seeing how bad the cylinder walls are scored, whether they're going to need just a hone or a bore. The Coyote blocks are pretty inexpensive, so we may decide to just replace the block with a new one. They're less than $1,000. You start looking at boring and honing and machine work and oversized pistons and everything, and it just gets to be too complicated. That all being said, AutoVlog's truck is going to get the primo upgrades that every Coyote owner with Supercharger wants, which is forged pistons and forged rods. So we're going to do a set of Molly pistons, a set of Manley rods. We're going to get it back on the road better than ever, and it is going to be built to handle in excess of 800 rear-wheel horsepower. I don't think AutoVlog is going to want that much horsepower for a daily driver truck of all things, but it's definitely going to be built right and done right to handle as much as a VMP Gen3 supercharger could throw at it. So Jesse got the engine out of AutoVlog's truck and he got it all torn apart. This is what we found. One side of the engine looks great, the other side of the engine looks terrible. It is visible how badly worn the piston skirts are because the pistons got very hot and expanded, and they actually stuck the rings in the process. I can't recall ever seeing this happen before. It's very different. Whenever you pull a piston out, the rings should always be floating in the grooves, and they should, have some spring to them. They should spin around. These rings are completely stuck, which I would have to attribute that to an extreme overheating situation that must have happened when the cat failed and the back pressure skyrocketed. So this is the stuck ring, and they're stuck. They have no spring to them. You can see that the pistons got hot and expanded, and they wore the skirts quite a bit. There's actually metal in the oil from that. And then you look at the other bank, there's a normal amount of wear for 50,000 miles, and the rings are just floating completely normal. They've got good spring to them. This is what the piston should have looked like. Now we know what the problem is, so we can get the engine fixed and put back together. And don't forget to subscribe to see more cool videos like these ones.